They mocked her weight and gave her away. Until a Lakota man called her his bride, the desert sun was harsh that day, beating down on the colony settlement with a relentless heat. Dust rose in small clouds every time someone moved, and the air shimmered over the red soil. Among the settlers, a young woman named Maya walked slowly, trying to keep her head down. She was heavier than most people expected, and for that she had learned early whispers and mockery would always follow her. Every step felt heavier, not just from her body, but from the weight of everyone else's judgment. Her adoptive family had never hidden their disapproval. They called her names when no one was looking and made her chores harder than those given to others. Today, their decision had finally been made clear. Maya was not wanted in the colony anymore. She had been given away, as they had put it, to a trader from a distant settlement. Someone who would take her far from this place where she could be someone else's problem. Maya's stomach twisted with nervousness as she approached the hovering transport vehicle waiting for her. It was a strange mix of old prairie wagon and new technology hovering just above the dusty ground. Its engines hummed softly, a sound that reminded her of distant thunder. She looked back once at the small settlement, feeling a pang of sadness. This had been her home, but it had never felt like she truly belonged. The traders who would take her away did not greet her kindly. Their faces were set in expressions that mixed pity and annoyance. "You'll be better off with someone who can use you," one muttered under his breath. Maya ignored the words, though her cheeks burned. She climbed onto the transport, keeping her eyes forward. The seats were hard, made of a rough material that scraped against her arms. Outside the vehicle, the world stretched endlessly. Red mesas, glowing riverbeds that seemed almost alive, and scattered remnants of old spacecraft, half buried in the dirt. The landscape was beautiful in a strange, lonely way, and she felt a small spark of wonder despite the fear twisting in her chest. As the vehicle lifted off, the wind whipped around her, carrying the smell of dust and dry grass. The other travelers whispered among themselves, snickering whenever Maya turned her head. She tried to ignore them, pretending they did not exist, but every laugh felt like a small knife in her heart. She had long ago learned to hide her tears. They would have only made the situation worse. The ride was long. Hours passed, the sun moving slowly across the sky. Maya's eyes traced the horizon, following the shapes of the mesas as they changed with the light. She imagined what it would be like to live in a place where people did not mock her for her weight, a place where she could make her own choices. But in her mind, it seemed far away, almost impossible. At one point, the vehicle flew over a massive canyon, the ground dropping sharply below. The wind rushed past, and for a moment Maya felt as if she were falling with it. She gripped the edge of her seat tightly. That's when she saw it, a lone figure standing on a hovering horse at the edge of the canyon. The figure was small against the vastness of the land, but there was something about him that made Maya's heart beat faster. He watched her, silent and still, as if he could see everything about her that no one else did. The sight left her with a strange mix of fear and curiosity. Who was he? Why did he watch her like that? Before she could think too much, the vehicle tilted and changed direction, and the figure disappeared behind the dust and rock. Still, the image stayed with her, a tiny spark of hope in the midst of her anxiety. As evening approached, the travelers stopped for a short break near a riverbed that glowed faintly in the fading light. Maya stepped down from the vehicle carefully. The ground was uneven, and her boots sank slightly into the soft soil. Around her, people moved quickly, setting up small portable devices to cook their meals. Their words carried through the air, most of them gossip or insults directed at her. Maya took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. She wanted to shout at them, to tell them they were cruel, but the words got stuck in her throat. Instead, she found a quiet spot near the river. The water shimmered with strange, soft lights, and she sat down on a flat rock. She let herself watch the glow for a few minutes, feeling a calm she hadn't felt in a long time. Maybe this world, this strange frontier, was not entirely without wonder. Maybe there was a place for her somewhere out here, beyond the whispers and mockery. Night fell quickly. The sky was wide and dark, dotted with stars that shone brighter than anything she had seen on the old planet. The temperature dropped, and Maya wrapped a thin blanket around herself. She could hear the distant hum of the transport engines, the rustle of travelers moving about, and the occasional sound of animals far off in the desert. For the first time in her life, she felt small, not in a bad way, but in a way that reminded her there was a bigger world, a bigger life, waiting beyond the narrow judgments of her adoptive family. Then she heard it, the soft thump of hooves on the ground, unlike the hovercraft engines, more deliberate, more alive. Maya looked up quickly, heart pounding. At the edge of the river, partially hidden by the shadow of a rock, she saw the figure again. The same lone man from the canyon, standing tall and still, watching her. His presence was calm, strong, and different from everyone else she had met. He did not laugh or whisper. He simply observed as if he could see her heart and soul without needing words. Maya felt a flicker of courage. She stood slowly, unsure if she should speak, unsure if she should even acknowledge him. The figure nodded slightly, almost imperceptibly, and then turned his horse to watch the horizon. Maya felt a strange connection, a sense that maybe, just maybe, someone out here saw her as more than just her weight, more than just the jokes and insults. Someone saw her as she truly was. The travelers were starting to prepare for the next leg of their journey, and Maya knew it was time to return. She hesitated, taking one last look at the figure, but he had vanished again, leaving only the memory of his quiet presence. She climbed back into the transport, her heart still racing, her mind filled with questions she did not yet have answers to. The journey ahead felt less frightening with the idea that there might be someone, somewhere, who could understand her. The rest of the night passed in a blur. Maya tried to sleep, though the rough seats and the constant hum of engines made it difficult. She dreamt of open plains, glowing rivers, and a man on a hovering horse who never mocked her, never judged her, who only looked at her with calm understanding. The dream left her with a warmth she had not felt in years, a sense that maybe the next chapter of her life would be different. By dawn, the red light of the sun touched the horizon. Maya peered out of the vehicle and saw the vast landscape stretching endlessly. Hills and mesas rose like giants, shadows stretching long in the morning light. Somewhere in the distance, small structures marked settlements, tiny specks in the grandness of the planet. She realized that the world was bigger than her fears, bigger than the judgment she had lived under for so long. As the vehicle descended toward the next settlement, Maya straightened her back. She felt a small spark of determination. She would face whatever came next, step by step. She might be taken to a new home, given away by people who did not value her, but she would not let their judgment define her. Somewhere out there, she would find a place where she belonged. And perhaps in that place, she would meet the one who had watched her from the canyon and the river, the one who might see her worth from the very first moment. The transport touched down with a soft hum. Travelers began to disembark, moving quickly toward the settlement gates. Maya hesitated for a moment, feeling the weight of the unknown pressing on her. Then she took a deep breath, held her head high, and stepped forward. Every step was a small victory, a rejection of the years of mockery and ridicule. The world may have seen her as someone to give away, but she was more than that. She was strong, she was capable, and she was ready to face the future. As the settlement gates loomed closer, Maya caught sight of the distant horizon again. And there, for a brief moment, she saw the silhouette of a man on a hovering horse, watching her from afar. This time she did not feel fear or uncertainty. She felt hope. Somewhere out there, someone saw her as she truly was. And for the first time, she allowed herself to believe that the future might hold more than ridicule. It might hold respect, friendship, and even love. Maya stepped into the settlement, leaving behind the dust and whispers of her old life. The first part of her journey had ended, but the story of who she truly was only beginning. She did not know what challenges awaited, but she knew one thing for certain. She would never let anyone else define her worth again. And perhaps, just perhaps, the one who had silently watched her would soon step forward, changing her life in ways she had never imagined. The morning sun rose slowly over the settlement, casting long shadows on the red sand. Maya walked cautiously through the narrow streets, her eyes darting from one stranger to another. She had no idea where she was being taken or what the trader expected from her. Everything around her felt foreign. The strange architecture of the settlement, the humming vehicles that hovered above the ground, and the small groups of people who glanced at her with curiosity or disinterest. Her heart still pounded from the previous day, and she could not shake the memory of the man on the hovering horse. The memory gave her a flicker of courage, but it also left her wondering, who was he and why did he watch her? The trader leading her was impatient. "Move faster," he snapped, gesturing toward the hovering transport that would take her further across the plains. Maya obeyed silently, gripping the straps of her small bag. She did not trust him, but she had learned that resistance only invited trouble. As the transport lifted off, Maya found a window and pressed her face close to it. The land stretched endlessly below. Mesas and valleys, glowing streams that twisted like silver ribbons, and distant forests of strange, alien trees that swayed as if alive. Despite her fear, she could not help but feel awe at the beauty of the planet. This world, harsh as it was, also felt full of possibilities. Hours passed, and the hum of the transport filled the air. Maya tried to sleep but could not. Her mind wandered back to the figure on the horse. She remembered the calm in his eyes, the strength in his posture, and the quiet way he had watched her. Unlike everyone else, he had not mocked her, had not laughed, had not whispered insults. For the first time in her life, Maya felt that maybe someone could see her as she truly was. The transport began to descend near a canyon, its engines lowering the craft gently toward the dusty ground. Maya looked out the window and froze. There, standing at the edge of the canyon, was the man again. He had not moved, not even once, despite the distance and the heat. His dark hair caught the sunlight, and his presence felt commanding, almost like the planet itself had sent him to watch over her. The transport landed softly, and the traders immediately started unloading supplies. Maya stepped down cautiously. She was about to be handed over to another group of settlers when a voice called out. "Wait!" the man said, his tone calm but firm. Maya turned, her eyes widening. He was moving now, gliding effortlessly on his hovering horse, approaching the traders with a confident stride. The settlers and traders exchanged uncertain looks. No one seemed to know who he was or why he spoke with such authority. "I said wait," he repeated. "This girl will not go where you are sending her." The traders laughed, assuming he was joking. "And who are you to decide that?" one asked, stepping forward. "She belongs to us now." The man's gaze did not waver. "She belongs to herself," he said simply. Maya's breath caught in her throat. She had never heard anyone speak like that to those who claimed to own her. Her heart lifted in a way she had not expected. She took a small step forward, as if sensing that this stranger might be her chance for something better. The man dismounted from his hovering horse and walked toward her. There was a quiet strength in his movements, a confidence born from knowing the land and knowing himself. His eyes met hers, and in that moment she felt seen, not as someone to mock, not as someone to give away, but as a person with value and worth. "Who are you?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "I am Tayan," he said, offering a small nod. "I am Lakota. I live with my people on the plains. You will be safe with us." Maya did not know what to say. The traders were still watching, confused and annoyed. Tayan turned back to them. "Leave her, now!" There was a tense silence. No one moved. Then slowly the traders stepped aside, muttering under their breath. Tayan extended his hand to Maya. Hesitant, she took it. His grip was firm but gentle, grounding her in a way she had never experienced before. Together they walked toward the horizon, the settlement shrinking behind them. Tayan spoke softly as they moved. "Do not fear. My people welcome those who wish to live with honor. You will not be mocked there. You will not be given away." Maya nodded, tears prickling her eyes. She had dreamed of belonging somewhere, but she had never imagined it could happen so quickly or so peacefully. She looked at Tayan, noticing the calm in his dark eyes, the steady strength in his posture. For the first time in years, she felt hope. The journey across the plains was long. Tayan rode his hovering horse beside her, pointing out landmarks and teaching her small things about survival in the frontier world. He showed her how to recognize edible plants, where to find fresh water, and how to move quietly across the red soil. Maya listened carefully, absorbing every word. She felt her fear slowly fade, replaced by a growing confidence. At night, they camped under the wide sky. The stars were brighter here than she had ever seen. Tayan built a small fire while Maya helped gather fuel. The light danced across his face, and she noticed the gentle way he treated the animals and the land. Everything about him spoke of respect, respect for the world, for life, and for people. "You will be safe," he said again as they sat by the fire. "My people live by the old ways and the new. We value courage, honesty, and heart. You will find your place among us." Maya wanted to believe him, but a small part of her hesitated. Could it be true? Could she really leave behind the ridicule, the fear, and the loneliness she had known all her life? She looked into the fire, seeing the flickering light reflected in her own eyes. Something inside her shifted. She nodded quietly. The next day they continued across the plains. The land was vast and unforgiving, but Tayan moved with ease, guiding her through the alien terrain. They passed glowing riverbeds, strange rock formations, and scattered remnants of old spacecraft, all silent witnesses to the history of the frontier world. Maya felt both awe and a strange sense of peace. Here, among the endless horizon, she was no longer just a target for mockery. She was a traveler, a learner, someone with a chance to start anew. Along the way, Tayan told her stories of his people. They were Lakota, adapted to life on this new planet. They combined their traditions with frontier technology, riding hovering horses, using energy lassos, and respecting the land while surviving in its harshest corners. Maya listened, fascinated. She realized that her journey was about more than escaping ridicule. It was about discovering a culture that honored strength, courage, and heart. By the time they reached the outskirts of Tayan's camp, Maya felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Small structures of wood and metal rose from the ground, smoke curling from chimneys. The sound of voices and laughter carried through the air. Tayan slowed his horse and looked at her. "You will be welcome," he said softly. "But you must remember, respect and courage guide our lives. If you have heart, you will belong." Maya took a deep breath. She had faced mockery, loneliness, and fear all her life. She had learned to hide, to shrink herself so others would not see her. But here, with Tayan, she felt the stirrings of something new, courage, hope, and the possibility of belonging. She nodded. As they entered the camp, a few children ran past, curious about the new arrival. The adults paused, studying her carefully. Maya felt their gaze but did not shrink. Tayan stayed close, his presence a quiet shield. One of the elders, a woman with bright eyes and a gentle smile, stepped forward. "Welcome," she said simply. "You may stay, you may learn, you may be part of us if you choose." Maya's eyes filled with tears. She could barely speak. Tayan placed a hand lightly on her shoulder, a reassuring weight. For the first time, she felt a sense of relief she had never known. She was no longer alone. She was no longer mocked. She was no longer given away. She had a chance to belong. That night, as the camp settled, Maya lay under the wide sky, listening to the sounds of the plains. She thought of the journey, the traders, and the man who had saved her. Tayan. She realized she trusted him, though she barely knew him. He had seen her, truly seen her. Maya closed her eyes, letting sleep carry her, but even in dreams, she felt the presence of the plains, the camp, and the possibility of a new life. She no longer feared the future. She only wondered what adventures lay ahead, what challenges she would face, and how she would grow in this new world. For the first time in years, she believed in hope. The sun rose slowly over the vast plains, casting long, golden shadows across the red sand. Maya opened her eyes to the soft sounds of the camp awakening. Children laughed as they ran across the open space, chasing small, glowing creatures that flitted along the ground. Adults moved with purpose, tending to animals, cooking, and checking supplies. The camp was alive, full of energy and warmth, a stark contrast to the cold mockery she had left behind in the settlement. Tayan was already awake, standing by the edge of the camp with his hovering horse. When Maya emerged from her small shelter, he nodded to her. "It is a new day," he said. "You will learn today how we survive here. You will learn to be strong." Maya swallowed hard. She had learned to follow orders in the past, but the thought of being tested again made her stomach twist. Still, she felt something different this time. She did not feel fear. She felt determination. She wanted to prove herself, not to anyone who had mocked her, but to herself and to the people who might become her new family. Their first task was simple but challenging. Tayan led her to a small herd of hovering horses. These creatures were unlike the horses Maya had known on old Earth. They glided above the ground on soft, glowing pads, their movements smooth and silent. Tayan instructed her to mount one, a small mare with deep brown eyes. Maya hesitated. She had never ridden anything like this before. "Do not be afraid," Tayan said, steadying the horse. "Feel her movement, trust her, she will not harm you." Maya took a deep breath and climbed onto the mare. At first, she wobbled, gripping the reins tightly. The horse moved slowly at first, testing her balance. Then, as she relaxed, she began to feel the rhythm of its glide. The wind whipped across her face, the glow of the plains stretching below, and a thrill of freedom filled her chest. For the first time in a long while, she felt alive. Tayan rode beside her, offering guidance and encouragement. "Good," he said. "You are learning. Soon you will move as one with the horse. You will glide across the plains as we do." After hours of practice, Maya had improved significantly. She could guide the mare with subtle shifts of her weight and quiet commands. Tayan nodded approvingly. "You have heart," he said simply. That is the most important part. Strength comes from heart. The next days were filled with lessons of survival. Maya learned how to find fresh water, how to gather edible plants, and how to move quietly across the land without alerting predators. The planet was beautiful, but it was dangerous. Strange creatures roamed the plains, some harmless, some not. Tayan taught her how to recognize the signs of danger, how to listen to the wind, and how to read the tracks left in the sand. Maya struggled at first. She fell, stumbled, and sometimes made mistakes. But Tayan never scolded her harshly. Instead, he guided her, showing patience and trust. Slowly, she gained confidence, her steps growing surer, her eyes sharper. Each small success filled her with pride. One evening, as the sun dipped low behind the mesas, Tayan brought her to a high ridge overlooking the plains. Below, the camp glowed softly with lanterns, the light reflecting on the red sand. "Look at your people," he said. "They will test you. They will want to see your courage and your heart. You must be ready." Maya nodded, the weight of his words settling in her chest. She understood that belonging here was not automatic. She would need to prove herself, to show that she had strength, courage, and intelligence. But she also felt ready. She had already faced mockery and rejection. What was fear compared to that? The test came sooner than she expected. A group of rogue settlers appeared on the horizon, their hovering vehicles kicking up dust. They had heard about the Lakota camp and came seeking supplies. Tayan gathered the camp together, preparing for defense. Maya's heart pounded. This was not just practice or training, this was real danger. Tayan approached her. "Stay close to me," he said. "Watch, learn, and act when needed." The settlers arrived, demanding food and equipment. Tayan stepped forward, calm and strong. "You will take nothing," he said. "This is our home." A tense silence followed. The settlers laughed, but Maya noticed a hint of caution in their eyes. Tayan's presence was commanding, his confidence unshakable. Then one of the settlers charged forward, trying to take a crate of supplies. Tayan moved swiftly, using his energy lasso to stop him without harm. Maya's heart raced. She watched closely, learning from every movement, every decision. Then a second settler tried to sneak toward the horses. Maya felt a surge of courage. Using the lessons Tayan had taught her, she raised her voice and shouted a warning. The settler froze, startled by her sudden presence and clarity. Tayan nodded subtly, acknowledging her action. The confrontation escalated, but the camp worked together, combining traditional strategy with advanced technology. Maya found herself helping, guiding younger members of the camp, pointing out weaknesses in the settlers' approach. Her mind raced, but she stayed calm, thinking clearly. By the end of the conflict, the settlers were driven away. No one was seriously hurt and the camp remained safe. Maya felt a surge of pride and relief. She had faced her first real test in the camp and had succeeded. Tayan approached her afterward. "You did well," he said. "You have courage and heart. The camp will see it now. You are not just a visitor here, you are part of us." Maya felt a warmth in her chest. For the first time, she felt truly accepted, not because someone pitied her, but because she had earned respect. She had faced danger and had contributed. She had shown strength. Over the next few days, Maya continued to practice with the horses, learn survival skills, and study the ways of the Lakota people. She began to feel at home. Children approached her without fear. Adults offered guidance and small smiles of approval, and Tayan remained by her side, guiding her quietly. One evening, she sat by the fire with Tayan, watching the stars twinkle above the plains. The camp was quiet now, the excitement of the recent conflict past. Maya spoke softly. "I never thought I could feel safe or strong, but here it feels like I belong." Tayan nodded. "You have heart, Maya, that is why you belong. Your courage, your kindness, your willingness to learn, these make you one of us. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise." Maya smiled faintly, feeling tears prick at her eyes. She had carried so much shame and fear all her life, and yet here on this distant planet with these people she felt hope. She felt strength. She felt herself becoming someone new. The days turned into weeks. Maya's confidence grew. She could glide across the plains on the hovering horses, track animals, gather supplies, and even help defend the camp when needed. She had earned respect, not only from Tayan but from the entire community. One afternoon, as she walked along a ridge, looking over the glowing riverbeds and distant mesas, she felt a sense of peace. She had survived the mockery, the fear, and the unknown. She had found courage, friendship, and purpose. Tayan appeared beside her, quiet as always. "The world is harsh," he said, But those who face it with heart and courage can thrive. You have done well, Maya. There are more challenges ahead, but I believe you are ready. Maya looked at him, feeling gratitude and something deeper, a connection she could not yet name. She nodded. I will try. I want to be strong for myself and for the camp. The sun began to set, casting golden and red light across the plains. Maya felt the warmth on her face, the glow of the camp behind her, and the vastness of the planet stretching ahead. She realized that life had changed. She had left the fear and mockery behind. She had found a place where she was valued, and with Tayan's guidance she knew she could face anything. As night fell, the camp settled around her. Fires flickered, animals rested, and the stars stretched endlessly above. Maya lay down near the glow of a small fire, feeling tired but content. She thought of the journey so far, the traders, the settlement, Tayan's intervention, and the lessons of survival. She had faced her first real challenges and had emerged stronger. For the first time, Maya allowed herself to dream not of escape or hiding, but of growth, belonging, and adventure. She knew the future would hold more tests, more dangers, and more opportunities to prove herself. And she welcomed them, because for the first time in her life, she was not running from mockery. She was not shrinking to fit into someone else's world. She was learning, growing, and becoming someone she could be proud of. And somewhere on the horizon, beyond the mesas and glowing riverbeds, Maya sensed that her life was about to change in ways she could never imagine. She had found courage, and with it she had found a new beginning. The sun dipped low over the horizon, turning the sky a brilliant mix of red, orange, and purple. The plains glowed with the last light of day, and the camp stirred with preparations for the evening. Maya walked among the Lakota, feeling a sense of belonging she had never experienced before. She carried water to the children playing near the glowing riverbeds and helped the elders with small tasks, each movement met with nods and smiles. Tayan rode alongside her on his hovering horse, his presence a constant reassurance. He had taught her so much in the past weeks, how to survive, how to ride, how to move with confidence across the vast, alien landscape. But most importantly, he had shown her that she was worthy of respect and care. For the first time, she believed it herself. The camp had grown accustomed to her presence. Maya's courage during the encounter with the rogue settlers had earned her trust, but now, her day-to-day efforts and kindness strengthened her place among them. Children laughed at her gentle teasing, adults asked her advice on small matters, and even the horses seemed to recognize her voice and presence. Yet Maya felt a nervous excitement in her chest. Tayan had asked her to meet him at the ridge overlooking the plains that evening. She did not know why, but the thought made her pulse quicken. She adjusted her cloak as she approached the ridge, the glowing riverbeds and mesas stretching endlessly before her. The wind carried the faint smell of dry grass and the soft hum of distant energy fields. Tayan was already there, standing tall on his hovering horse. His dark eyes met hers, calm and steady as always. You have done well, Maya, he said. You have shown courage, heart, and patience. You have learned the ways of the camp and the plains. You are no longer an outsider. Maya felt her chest tight. Thank you, she whispered. I never thought I could feel at home anywhere. Tayan smiled faintly, the corners of his eyes crinkling. Home is not a place, he said softly. It is where you are seen, where you are valued, and where you can be yourself. You have found that here among my people. The words settled in her heart, warming it. For so long she had been told she was not enough, too heavy, too weak, too unworthy. Now she realized she had been enough all along. She had courage and she had heart. That had always been her strength. As the sun sank lower, a group of elders approached, including the woman who had first welcomed her. They carried small gifts, woven bracelets, carved figures, and pieces of glowing stone that were traditional symbols of welcome. One by one, they handed them to Maya, speaking quietly but warmly. You are one of us now, the eldest said. Your courage has earned respect. Your heart has earned belonging. Maya's eyes filled with tears. She knelt slightly to receive the gifts, her hands trembling. She felt a mixture of gratitude, relief, and joy she had never known. The camp was not just a place to survive, it was a place to live, to belong, to be seen for who she truly was. Tayan dismounted from his horse and stepped closer. Maya, he said, his voice calm but carrying weight. You have walked a difficult path, you have faced fear and doubt. You have shown strength in every step. There is one more thing I wish to ask you. Maya looked at him, heart pounding. She could feel the wind shift around them, carrying the faint scent of the plains and the soft rustle of distant animals. She sensed something important was coming, something that would change her life forever. "I wish to call you my bride," Tayan said simply, yet with undeniable certainty. Maya froze. Her mind raced, recalling all the pain and rejection she had endured. Yet in Tayan's eyes, she saw sincerity, respect, and care. This was not a claim of ownership, not a mockery, not a transaction like those she had suffered before. This was a choice, offered with honor and patience. I don't know what to say," she whispered. Her voice trembled, but her heart swelled with emotion. "You need not speak yet," Tayan said. "I am asking you to be my partner, to walk beside me, to share this life and this home. The choice is yours, always yours." Maya felt tears roll down her cheeks. For the first time, someone had asked for her heart, not her obedience. Someone had seen her worth, her courage, her strength. Slowly, she nodded. "Yes," she said softly, "I will be your bride." Tayan's face softened, a rare smile appearing. He reached for her hand, holding it gently. The world seemed to pause around them, the glowing plains, the hovering horses, the soft wind. Maya felt an overwhelming sense of peace. She belonged, she was valued, she was loved. The elders nodded quietly, understanding the significance of the moment. Children nearby looked on with curiosity and joy, sensing the harmony and connection between Maya and Tayan. The camp seemed to embrace her fully now, not as an outsider, but as one of their own. That night, a celebration was held. The camp gathered around the largest fire, its flames dancing against the dark sky. Music filled the air, soft and rhythmic, combining traditional Lakota instruments with subtle frontier technology. Children danced and laughed, while adults shared stories of courage and survival. Maya joined in, feeling light and free in a way she had never experienced. Tayan stayed close, occasionally glancing at her with quiet pride. He had guided her, taught her, and now he shared in her joy. They did not speak much, for words were unnecessary. The connection between them was strong, built on trust, respect, and shared experience. After the celebration, Maya walked with Tayan to the edge of the camp. The stars stretched endlessly above, brighter than anything she had ever seen. The glowing riverbeds below reflected their light, creating a landscape that seemed almost magical. "You have grown strong," Tayan said quietly, "not just in skill, but in spirit. You faced fear and doubt, and you have overcome them. You have heart, and that makes all the difference." Maya looked at him, feeling the warmth in his eyes, the calm strength in his presence. "I never thought I could feel this way," she admitted. "I never thought I could belong anywhere, but here I feel safe, I feel respected, I feel alive." Tayan nodded. "That is because you have never truly known your own strength. Now you do, and together we can face anything this world may bring." Maya smiled, her heart light. She had faced mockery, rejection, and fear. She had survived the journey across the harsh plains, learned the ways of the Lakota, and proven her courage. And now she had a place to call home, a partner who valued her, and a future full of hope and possibility. The night grew quiet, the fires dimming as the camp settled to rest. Maya and Tayan remained on the ridge for a while, watching the stars, listening to the soft hum of the plains. She felt a deep sense of peace, a knowing that her life had changed forever. She was no longer defined by others, mockery or rejection. She was defined by her courage, her heart, and the people who had welcomed her as she truly was. Finally, they returned to the camp. Maya settled into a small, comfortable shelter provided for her. She lay down, exhausted but content, thinking of the journey that had brought her here, the traders, the mockery, the strange planet, and the man who had seen her worth. Tayan sat nearby, watching the camp, his presence a calm reassurance. As she drifted to sleep, Maya felt a sense of belonging she had never known. She was part of something greater, a community that valued courage and heart. And she had found love and respect in the person of Tayan, the Lakota man who had called her his bride. For the first time, Maya allowed herself to dream freely, not of escape or hiding, but of adventure, love, and a life filled with dignity and hope. She knew there would be challenges ahead, but she also knew she was strong enough to face them. She had courage. She had heart. She had a home, and somewhere in the vast plains, under the endless sky, hovering horses glided silently, carrying the promise of a future full of possibility, honor, and belonging. Maya smiled in her sleep, finally at peace, finally free.